Good evening, Yam Shalishi, Yuda, Yas people. Good evening. Thank you for coming in and joining me, Alicia and Anaya Elda, for day 28 of Exodus chapter 4. Our message for today is about Punt, Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel's dreams of the four kingdoms, also Daniel's dream of the ram and the goat. That is our message for today. That's the message that the Most High wanted me to give you for today. So thank you for coming in and joining me. Again, Yom Shalishi. Man's time is Monday, June 6, 2022. So thank you for coming in and joining me. We're definitely going to get right into this message. I want to start off with a prayer and get into this message today. So, Most High, thank you for bringing us into this moment. Thank you for all of your graciousness and mercy, for blessing us in this moment with the breath of life, because without you, there would be no us. Thank you for all of the things that you blessed us with that we take for granted, because we have this expectation of things that should be. We unknowingly and sometimes don't give as much honor and grace as credit and mercy to you as we should. So I want to take this moment to thank you for all of your gloriousness, all of your graciousness and mercy in spite of ourselves. So thank you for that, Most High. I ask that you use me as your humble servant, that your word may come forth tonight, and that it may just reach even just one person. And that as a time such as now, that your people would wake up, your people will become aware, and your people will know you, because that's what you asked me to do in this mission. And so that may go forth, and that your word and your intention and your will be admonished to this moment, and to be expanded to masses. Come into the room. Bless and protect your humble servant. I ask for protection, and I ask for graciousness, and I ask you to give me the words that you would have me to get to your people. Hallelujah. So I want to thank you all for coming in and joining me. Share this word tonight. Again, this is day 28 of Exodus chapter 4. Yom Shalishi to all of you all. The message, the title today for the message is about Punt, Nebuchadnezzar's dream, Daniel's four kingdom dream, and also Daniel's dream about the ram and the goat. Now we touched on, we talked about the four kingdoms on previous days. We talked about the ram and goat on previous days. And so I want you all to know these were dreams. These were antique dreams that were had by people in biblical history, right? But they were prophetic dreams. They were antique dreams, but they were prophetic to the times of now. And here we are in this time of now, and these dreams are coming into fruition. And so we have to understand what's really going on. What's really going on. And so we're definitely gonna get into this message. So not that me being in servitude, right, to the Most High, working for the kingdom. I mean, there's always going to be a story. There's always going to be some adversity, because that's what the Most High said. When I called you into this mission, you have to understand that there's going to be people in opposition. And not that I compare myself to Yeshua or Stephen or any of those that's called to do the work, but it's an uncomfortable work. It really is. But Most High said there's rewards at the end. And as for me right now, I'm not doing it for the rewards. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good in my spirit. And so just sharing a quick story with you all. um Yah's people, spiritual warfare is real and it's increasing. It's increasing. Have you not noticed that there's there's an increase of tension? There's an increase of incidental things happening in the world. People are getting meaner for no reason. um, just things are happening and people are doing things that just kind of make you scratch your head like, why did they do that? And what did I do to make people do that? Because there's a and it's really hard to place a word on it, right? It's really hard to identify. But what is going on? And I'm gonna try my best to explain it. There is this spirit, if you will, and it's going around and it's affecting people who are vulnerable. And what is happening is one moment a person will be just fine, and then the next moment they're like on the other end of the spectrum. Calm 1 minute, next minute, and enraged, right? There's a spirit of offense going around. Right? People are ultra sensitive, and it's causing people to react in manners and ways. People walk around in defense. Um, it's like there's no logic in it at all. The common variable, right, of being able to calm someone down to even have a conversation about what's going on. There's no logic in it. People don't want to hear it. They just want to be enraged. There's no resolution when in interactions anymore, and so that's being lost. And when that becomes lost, where a person becomes so enraged and so upset and so offended and so in defense that they don't want to hear anything, you have nothing to do but walk away because you can't talk to a person. And that is what's going on. um you all know, if you follow me, you was in Revelations. When Most High started asking me to teach Revelations, I share stories and incidents with those that are on the teleconferences and the lives and so on. And at times I've shared, since I've been doing, the FB recordings and things like that. So I share instances with you, but I want to share this quickly with you before we get into the word, because we need to be able to identify, right? You need to be. It's like you need like markers, right? Like time markers on what's going on in the world, so you can parallel. Here is what was prophetically said, and it's matching up to the time of now. And so, of course, me being a teacher in the word, you all know I've talked about this many times. I've done lives about this, giving information, shared information. So I'm always facing that adversity. It's nothing new. I don't get moved by it, so on. But it's so funny that day 27, I did a live and I was talking about this very thing. I was talking about how the spirit of offense and people be offended, and the demons showed up, um, to tell me that I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And that's fine. I received that information. It was because I've heard it before, it was nothing new. But they kept going and they kept going, especially one, and became so accusatory. I was called a liar. My video is my evidence. I was here on day 27, and I started off talking about how I wanted to rest, and the most High said, "No, you got to get up and give my people this word," which I did. I was told that, of course, I shouldn't be teaching the men. You all know I hear that all the time. But here's the thing about this big wide world of information right now: you don't have to listen. No one has to listen. If it offends you, you can keep scrolling. That's the good thing about it. You're not locked into me. If you don't like this word, if you don't like how I look, if you don't, like the fact that I'm a woman, you can keep scrolling. You also have the right to add a comment. I'm not gonna be offended by it because the most I already prepared me for it. It's okay if you don't agree, but you have the right to keep scrolling, right? You don't have to look and you don't have to listen. That's the good thing about this age of information. But when people come to tear down, to steal, to destroy, some even to kill. And they're adamant and they keep pounding and plugging away. You have to be able to identify, what is this? What is this that's coming? What is this? Who is this? And most of the time it's in the physical form. But at some point when you're dealing with demons, you got to know this is demonic spirit. And as many times I'm able to identify that now. And that actually happened to me. I shared the information to you. It's on my blog page. So look at it. I shared the post. And I thank the Most High because I was able to maintain a degree of calmness during the whole thing. I was able to deal with it tactfully. For the most part, I stayed in my spirit. But you all got to know that when you are doing the work, that when you're doing the work for the Most High, that because we in this physical body, sometimes the flesh wants to react the way the flesh wants to react. And you all know when you have somebody that's coming and coming and coming for you, you already know that you want to react a certain way. You want to yell back. You want to, scream back. You want to attack because that's what when you're being attacked, you want to attack back in defense. But I thank the Most High. I'm a changed person. And a different spirit is in me. And I was saying these things to the demons, right? And I think, and I thank God, thank Yah for an open heart and an open spirit, because I can look at the situation and know that I've been changed, and I thank the Most High for that. Also, that there was a spirit of protection over me, and there was a spirit of tactfulness over me, and that I was able to deal with it, right? And because the demons, those demonic spirits, knew that the Most High Spirit was protecting me and over me, they were able to recognize it. They kept trying. They kept trying. And thank you, Most High, that they did not succeed. Because what happened was, and I said it to them, and I'm saying it to you all now, it does not matter when you're able to identify and how they come. Because if the Most High is with you in every situation, you know that you're going to come out of it. Know that you're going to pull through it. And even if it was one of the adversaries, right? A demonic spirit. Know that the Most High will use the least of us for glory and magnification. And that happened. And I thank the Most High that I'm able to look back and see it. And I thank the Most High that I was able, in the middle of it, to still understand it, right? And that had a sound mind and a sound spirit, that I was able to get through it. So I thank the Most High for that. So I just wanted to share that story with you all. So let's get into this word today. Make sure you get out your pens and papers, right? Get out those pens and papers, and let's start writing this word down so you can go back and understand it. Because you can sit and, as boring as it is to watch somebody talk, right? When I'm teaching in the spirit, I try to give scriptures. We always go by the word. I never try to add anything to the word. If I'm giving you my opinion, I'll say, this is my opinion, right? Or this is my take on this, or however, just so you understand. But I'm never adding to the word. All that I use, sometimes I may quote, and I'll tell you if I'm quoting from some other resource, I'll let you know that. But we use the word, we use the Bible, that's it. And then I expound on it. I teach from that, line by line, precept by precept. That's the only thing that I'm going to ever use, because it's the Most High's word. And so get those pens and papers out. Go back and reproof. Go back and study for yourself so that you can understand whatever I said. You don't have to listen to everything I'm saying, but you can go back and, hey, she did say that, so let me go find out. That's interesting. Let me go find out for myself. And then you'll see it's there. It's there. All right. So here we are, day 28. And this is still in Exodus chapter 4. We're talking about Nebuchadnezzar's dream, right? There's chapter 7. Um, we're talking about Daniel's four kingdom dream and Daniel's dream of the ram and goat. Again, we touched on Daniel's four kingdom dream and we touched on Daniel's ram and goat dream. And then on day 27, I talked about punt. So let me start off with this. I was talking about punt, and punt is, bear with me a second. Punt is, bear with me. Bear with me. All right, so punt, let me give you this information on Punt. P-U-N-T was an ancient kingdom. It was a trading partner of ancient Egypt. It was known for producing and exporting gold. They were known for aromatic resins, blackwood, ebony, ivory, wild animals. They traded wild animals. The region was known for ancient Egyptian records of trade expeditions to it. So it also corresponds to Opon in Somalia, later known by the ancient Greeks. And some biblical scholars identified the land of Punt with Put or Havala. Remember Havala, for those distress or pain, Havala of the Ansalah, when the Most High, I shared to you that the Most High whispered that word Ansalah into my spirit and was talking about that, and it meant an ancient bondage. And so here we are talking about the land of Punt again, and it's referring to this place, right? This geographical location. And also you need to know it refers to a people in a sense. So it can have a lot of resourceful meanings. So let's get into this. So Punt, at times Punt is referred to as the land of the god. The exact location of Punt is debated by historians. There's different locations that people will say where Punt is, um, just like actually the Garden of Eden, right? And I run into some information on that. I'll share with you all at another time too. But look up the Garden of Eden. Look up the Garden of Eden, and not just over the waters, right? But in this land too. So look it up. Anyway, getting back to Punt, various locations have been offered: southeast of Egypt, a Red Sea coastal region, Somaliland, Somalia, Debatai, northeast Ethiopia, Eritrea, northeast Sudan. These are all different places that they want to refer to as the land of Punt. So it's also possible that it covered the Horn of Africa, Southern Arabia, Puntland, the Somalian administrative region at the Horn of Africa. Is also like reference to it. So this is Punt. And so what is it about Punt? Punt is this area, right? Which, is sometimes when you hear about Yah's people, right? Or Judah or Israel going back to the land that they immigrated from. They are supposed to go back to the land of Punt. So it's funny that when we hear all these different stories or versions of stories, we some words are thrown in there. We hear, Punt, we hear Havala, we hear all these different words, and we never hear these things at one time in one story. But oftentimes it's talking about the same ideal. It really is. It just really depends on who's interpreting it to you, who's giving you the information or the story. But it's really identifiable to the same thing. You could have a person that's actually from Israel, and they can be telling you this story, but they'll be giving it to you from their learned aspect, from where they learned it, how they grew up. And so you may not be able to identify the words they are using, but they are in fact talking about the same place. So be mindful of that. So let's get into this Daniel dream. So Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2, verses 32 and 33. This was about Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And so here, part of it, this is part of it. So go back and read Daniel chapter 2, But these verses here, 32 and 33, was talking about this statue. This statue was made of pure gold. It's Daniel had Nebuchadnezzar had saw this statue. Its chest and its arms were of silver, its belly and thighs were of bronze, its legs were of iron, its feet were partly of iron and partly of baked clay. So Nebuchadnezzar couldn't figure out this dream. So he called all his sorcerers, his magic people, all the people that he had in his courts to try to tell him what was the statue he was seeing in his dream. And then he called Daniel, right? And so here, this someone figured this out. This statue with all these different parts, right? This was Egypt. Egypt. And so Egypt was identified because of its idolatry. It was also a land of gold. It had onyx. It also had sandy deserts. Those feet that was talked about, the feet was made of iron and clay. It was iron mixed with clay, which symbolized the state of the government during the end times, shortly before Armageddon, when they will all be wiped out of existence. I have to be mindful when I'm teaching. And this is why I ask you all to go back, right? I ask you all to go back and research. And I try to explain when I'm teaching to exactness, so you will understand what's being talked about. Now, but I still have to be mindful in my statement. So basically, with this statue, here was Nebuchadnezzar having this dream. Here was Daniel interpreting this dream. It was an antique dream. As a historian, someone would have told the biblical history on it. And it was a dream that Nebuchadnezzar had that Daniel interpreted for a time such as now. And basically, here it is. It was saying that there will come a time toward the end of time, right? When those people of high places and high authority, we'll be able to identify who they are, these high authorities, right? And during the end time, there wouldn't be a monarchy. There would be instead of a monarchy, they would be called the government. And when they were called the government, there's going to come a time that there's going to be an end to that. And these people with high places and high authority, hallelujah, will be wiped out of existence. This is going to come into fruition, and this time is now. All right. These are not my words. I need y'all to understand that. These are the words of the Most High. And so go back and read Daniel chapter 2 in its entirety. But I just basically summarized chapters 32 and 33 for you. Now I want to go to Daniel chapter 7, verses 19 through 25. It's talking about Daniel's dream of the 4 world kingdoms replaced by the kingdom of the saints or the holy ones of the Most High. So, in essence, there were 4 kingdoms, right? Remember in previous teachings when I mentioned the word Alexander, right? We don't, and so people know them as Alexander the Great. In the Bible, in research, it doesn't say the great because that would give honor to a person, and the Most High doesn't give honor to a person. Okay, not in a credible sense of calling the person the great. Yes, recognize a person who is worthy to do the work and the will of the Most High, but not in the title of the great. Okay, so nevertheless, when Alexander, who had all this possession, this worldly possession, geographical worldly possession, riches, owned most of the possession of the world, right? Taken possession of the world. When he passed away, his authority was divided between 4 kingdoms and 4 rulers, right? And so they reigned for a while. Out of one of the 4 kingdoms, one particular family came in and they seemed to rise up over the authority there and dominate, right? And they almost stepped out of the authority, right? One of the four authorities, and became their own authority over that authority, right? To the point where they almost overtook every one of the generals of the four kingdom. And so when we go into talking about the ram and the goat, this is what's being talked about. So let's get into this. Daniel chapter 7. Read it in its entirety, but this is for verses 19 through 25. And it's talking about Daniel's dream of the four kingdom when it was replaced by the kingdom of the saints or the holy ones of the Most High. And then it goes on to say, I'm going to read the scriptures. Then I desired to know the truth concerning the fourth animal, which was different from all of them. This animal was exceedingly terrible, whose teeth were of iron. Its nails were of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and stamped the residue with its feet. And concerning the 10 horns that were on his head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 fell, even that horn had eyes, and a mouth that spoke great things, whose look was more stout than all its fellows. And I saw, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possess the kingdom. We'll keep going. 23, Daniel chapter 7, 19, 23. So he said, the fourth animal will be a fourth kingdom on earth, which will be different from all the other kingdoms. This fourth animal will devour the whole earth, will tread it down, break it in pieces. Then those 10 horns, they represented the 10 kings that will rise out of this kingdom. Remember that animal had 10 horns on his head. And then another will rise after them, and he'll be different from the former. And he will put down 3 kings. He will speak words against the Most High and will wear out the saints of the Most High. He will plan to change the times and the law, and they will be given into his hand until the time and times and half a time. I'm going to explain the scripture, right? But I just thought about something I want to share with y'all, which was relevant. And this made me realize when I was just telling you all this story, step away from this word for a minute. When I was telling you all the story about the demons that came for me today, right? Now listen, I was thinking, okay, I'm just dealing with people who are in opposition of me teaching. But during this dialogue and this interaction at one point, this woman, identified as a woman in a physical sense, she said, never forget